Hello, this is Lynn Jordan with I Love Romance Novels, and today I have the great privilege of interviewing Sass Green. She's the author of a playful, flirty romance filled with sexy billionaires, clever heroines, and international intrigue. Known for delivering vibrant, fast-paced plots, Sass's novel combines the glamour of luxury settings with witty, whip-smart chemistry and always end with a guaranteed happily ever after. A travel writer by trade, Sass brings real-world flair to her stories, drawing on adventures from her assignments for premium publications. From Paris to Santorini, her heroines and heroes love laughter and sizzle their way through unforgettable settings. Readers describe her writing as fast-paced and word candy, full of energy, sparkle, and addictive touch of escapism. When not writing, Sass finds inspiration while dictating books in Central Park or sipping champagne at 30,000 feet, always in business class, where she occasionally is mistaken as the girlfriend of a billionaire-looking seatmate. That sounds exciting. Follow Sass on social media for behind-the-scenes updates, and I will link that in the description of this video. Welcome, Sass.
Thank you so much for having me on, Lynn. It was great. And that was a fun intro. I was like reliving my life as you were explaining it. I should tell the audience or your listeners, I'm not always in business class. When the assignment pays for it, I am. But other times I'm in coach. But yeah, most of the time a handsome billionaire.
Ah, is that where you get your inspiration?
Really is. And there's this one time in particular, I don't know if he spoke English or not. I think he was a Spaniard from Madrid because he had those dark Spanish good looks. And that was when the flight attendant kept looking from me to him when she was taking our orders, like waiting for us to opine in unison. And she did that the whole flight. No, I was tempted to speak to him, but I have a rule in air travel, and the rule is you don't speak to the person next to you until you're touching down. It's a weird rule, but it's my rule.
Okay. That's interesting. That's not mine.
Oh, and you talk to people, but that's how you get your inspiration for your stories, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
makes sense.
in fact, one time we had the other first class passengers complaining about us because we were laughing and having such a good time.
And that's naughty. That's naughty.
So that's,
That I mean, see that happening. It's you never know. You never know.
you never know. No, you don't. You have this great series, the Rich and Sexy series. And I think today you want to mostly talk about the first book, or you can talk about any of them you want.
Yeah, Rich and the Sexy was born out of that flight with the Spaniard. And I was thinking, wow, I did have a relationship with a vampire, but I won't talk about that. I was in a relationship, same one, but I didn't want to indulge is the wrong word, but I didn't want to indulge in that conversation. I'm sure it would have been delightful. Lynn mentioned how delightful it could be, but I just wanted to be circumspect and respect his privacy. So anyway, when I got out of that flight, I thought, wow, what a great story. And that's how Rich and Sexy began. But what I'd like to talk to you about today is my first Christmas book. And I'm so excited because I've never written a Christmas book before. Lynn, have you?
No, not really. I've written a couple of Halloween books.
I know you, but I just thought, and what's really, I'm not patting myself in the back, but what I really pride myself on is that I've never written a Christmas book, and I knew that it should be Hallmarky in theme. Doesn't that make sense? That's the time.
Absolutely.
Oh, wild, Hallmark wild. But it is spicy because all my books are spicy. So
That's not all.
yeah, but I live in New York, and Rockefeller Center is like one of the most romantic places. And I started assembling a list of the most romantic places. So I made sure that I had a setting in each of them. So I think that's why the book is really successful. Its readers described it as heartwarming, which is something that's usually associated with Hallmark. So I achieved my goal there.
Well, that was exciting. Well, why don't you tell us about this book?
Okay, it's also my first plain Jane book. And it's a trope. You've heard of the plain Jane trope. when I was doing social media hashtags, I couldn't remember or even be certain after research. Is it plain Jane gets the hot guy, plain Jane wins the prince? And I couldn't think of any of those, which is appropriate. I thought they all were. So I used them all in different ways. But plain Jane, I had to make sure she had redeeming qualities. It's hard constructing a plain Jane. You've never constructed.
It is. Oh,
Yeah,
I have.
yeah,
Definitely.
plain but sparkling. She has unruly auburn hair, right? So that's one. I'm sure she blow dries it. She'd be a pretty Jane, or even just some way for transformation at the end of the story. She covers up her hair with a patches.
Okay.
The cat sewed like different patches, like in a Girl Scout uniform. You sew a patch. She put the campfire girls, but beads, patches, the whole thing. And then she wears this tattered coat. So all of her friends tease her because she's not just plain, but eccentric. That's what really makes her plain. She doesn't wear makeup, likes to be natural. The opening of the story is that she tells her friends when she was 16, her grandmother read her crystal ball fortune and said on her 21st birthday, which is Christmas Day, your destined mate will come into your life. So she tells her friends, guess what, guys? In 5 days, my destined mate's going to come into my life. And one of her friends believes her. The other one's, yeah. Anyway, the whole book is about her meeting her destined mate. It was really fun for me. But Lynn, I have to share something with you and also the readers. Most of my books are 50,000 words, and I'm used to it. It's a whole rhythm. This book, because I wanted to make it come out. I thought I would make it a novella. So this book is about 20,000 words. And you would think, logically, it's half the size. You would think it takes a shorter time to make a shorter book. I think absolutely no difference to how it took to write this book. And then readers loved it, but they said, oh, but I wanted this plot thread to be a little bit long. Like he has an ex-girlfriend, right? Her name is Erica. And he always dated an Erica. And what I mean by an Erica is the pretty girl, the pretty blonde, kind of the archetypical pretty girl. So all the readers wanted to know more about Erica. And I tried to explain, this is a novella, not a novel. But Lynn, it was crazy. Have you noticed it takes just as long to write a short book as a long book? Or maybe that was just me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm not going to write a short book. That was the experiment. That was the end. But it's tight and succinct, as the short book should be. About that. But I'm glad that I made that experiment. Lynn, have you made an experiment with a book thinking you get one result and you got another one?
Oh, absolutely. I'm more of a pantser, so my books surprise me all the time.
Which program do you use to write a Word or something like that?
Now, I usually use either Pseudowrite or I was using Rexy, but now I'm fallen in love with Raptor from the Feature Fiction Academy. And
I've heard the plug. I've heard Lynn's classes in Raptor and other classes, and she's quite the woman to know. You have a great instructional way about you. You have a great way. But anyway,
I want everybody to love these programs as much as I do.
The programs are great. I don't know about everyone, but I went through withdrawal. I use cedar rights in spurts. Sometimes I go months without using it. And then I needed to use it. And when I tried to use it, something was broken about it. And it took a bit for them to fix it. It's like getting a tool back. It's like hugging a friend you haven't seen for a long time. It's a tool and it's a lot of fun. But anyway, the bottom line is that with the shorter book, it did take me just as long. And I don't know. Do you think the future is going to be short books or not?
I think it depends. I think there's an audience for both, but I know right now the shorter books are really popular.
Yeah. I tried writing an Insta-love just for the sake of being right in the genre. And I wrote a mafia romance. Have you written that yet yourself?
I have not. I have friends that write it, but I have not.
It was exciting. It was exciting to write that. And I'll see if I'll make a long series from it. But a lot of people feel that Insta-love is the new way of the future because people don't have time to read. And speaking of time to read, Lynn, I'll ask you and then I'll ask the viewers, would you rather read a book or would you rather listen to an audiobook?
I do both, and it just depends. If I really want to absorb something, I read it.
Yeah.
However, I've gotten where I fall asleep to audiobooks,
Oh, that's
and so I love them.
yeah, that's good. I will definitely put my books out in audio when it's the right time. But for me, I like to listen to podcasts like yours when I'm doing things around my office, just minor things like making graphics or things that authors must do. But I wouldn't waste the precious time. Podcast time is so precious to me. I want to listen to all of my podcasts. And if I listen to an audiobook where I could just read it before going to sleep, I don't know what I do. But I have to tell you and your viewers what happened to me just a few weeks ago. And when I was driving, I wasn't driving. There was a driver involved. The driver picked us up at the Paris airport to go to Dijon. In case nobody knows, Dijon is only an hour and a half by high-speed train, and it's 4 hours by regular train, and about 4 hours by car, right? I don't want anybody to get hysterical, but it was the first and only night Paris had a crazy snow night, and our driver somehow didn't call to get the forecast, and he just started blindly driving towards Dijon. A6 is like the main thoroughfare. In the middle, we were stranded for 12 hours. I only had my iPhone with me, just this little phone. I didn't even have a charger. I tried to save batteries, right? I read all the books in my library. It was great. That's how I spent 12 hours. Isn't that the best thing? What would I do if I didn't have my iPhone?
It is. I love the mobile devices where we can load them up with all these books.
Oh, yeah. It was great. It was a savior. But so, Lynn, what questions do your viewers ask authors typically?
Usually, they want to know all about you and your writing. I know you said book was inspired by this airplane flight. How did you come to write this particular book?
The airplane ride was like a few years ago, but I was just thinking about romantic situations. I live in New York, and here's the weird thing. A lot of people think that New York is very sexy. And it is, of course, but it's really not. I haven't met anybody in New York. I meet most of the people in other countries where people are a little bit more engaging. In New York, people kind of very hesitant to get to know you. It's a very interesting thing. Actually, this first book, Rich and Sexy, the first book in the series, I wrote, meaning I sat at my computer and I wrote it. I never write a book anymore. That is over. I dictate everything. And that's why I dictate in Central Park. I live just across the street, and rain or snow, I'm in the park, bundled out, walking with my dictation device. And it's so free because in the past, I don't like sitting in one place that was boring. You're just in your environment, right? Looking with your mind and thinking about things. But when you're in the park, you are looking at people walking their dogs. You are seeing children playing. There's so much life. And I have no hesitation. I gesture a lot when I dictate, and I enunciate all of my words for myself as well as for my machine. And I don't care who's staring at me. It's not wrong. Lynn, would you?
I was going to ask if you get a lot of funny looks.
Yeah, I do. I do. And I was to the point where I was thinking about getting a t-shirt commission, like with my, like a Patreon and some kind of a people chip me or something. I walk down, if you're not from New York, 59th Street is where the Central Park is. And on the other side is a Plaza Hotel where Eloise lives. So that's my famous walk. It's 10 minutes from my apartment to where I go to exercise. And I walk along all the doormen. They're in front of these fancy hotels and they all know me. And, oh, what is the chapter today, Sass? I feel like, you know what? I should give them a free book. I should. Is it? It's just, you're an expert marketer. Is that a good thing to do? I should probably give it to them. And then
Absolutely.
and okay, Lynn's audience, should I highlight the sex scenes?
Let them do that themselves.
Yeah. Then when I'm walking past the next day, they might make some inappropriate remark. But I should get them my book, Lynn. Would you recommend that as a publicist?
I absolutely would recommend
And give me a desktop, a desk copy for the concierge. That'd be great. Yeah, they'd accept it. Anyway, so that's my famous walk. So when I'll tell you my sex scene story. I've been told by my readers they want more sex. Have you? This is a strange request, right? For writer, other professions, and other professions they could ask. And so anyway, I'm trying to satisfy them. So I'm walking down after my class and I got an inspiration. When you have your earphones on, because I dictate with not headphones, but just normal earbuds, right? So I had a stroke of inspiration. And I'm thinking, oh God, do I want to go into my own building with all of my doormen? Because I didn't want to cut myself off of this scene. And I, oh no, don't go into your own building with neighbors and doormen and all that. Go into the park. So I veered off into the park. And of course, the pedicab people are there, the guys with their horses are there, and they're all listening to me. And I guess I'm exhibitionist because I had no problem with my sex scene. I did quiet my voice a tiny bit, but and then there's a woman reading under a tree. I don't know if she's reading her book or pretending to, but I was there just dictating my sex scene. And it was a challenging scene for me because I wanted to get it right in the sense that I wanted to do justice to my character. My female character was very young and very innocent, and I wanted to get it right for her. And I wanted to get the right vibe for the guy who really cares for her. And it's not a matter of writing them, thank you, ma'am, when you're writing these kinds of scenes, if you want readers to enjoy your writing. You have to put a lot of character into it. Then you have the A into this B tab and all that kind of thing. So there's a lot of things to keep in mind when you're writing these scenes. They're not easy. They're not easy, but they're fun. They're fun to write, especially in public.
When did you decide you wanted to write? How long have you been writing?
That's a good point. I want, like most every writer, don't you find most writers say since they were small children, like with their crayons and they're telling a story? So yeah, and I always wanted to grow up and be a big famous writer. And in those days, it was like becoming one of the top 5 publishers and having the publisher publish. And I did have 5 books published by the top publishers, but it was nonfiction. It was nonfiction. So there was no real comparison, but I did want to be a best-selling hardcover, like just a mass market. You would find my name and my book in the drugstores on the displays. That was my real dream. I don't know if that's ever going to happen with the way the internet is going these days. I certainly don't read print books anymore. And
The publishing world has changed.
yeah, it's like I don't have a new I don't have a new dream. I'm not determined to have my book as a hardcover mass market paperback. That would be nice. But I feel so if my life ended in 2 seconds, I feel wow, I had 5 nonfiction books published. I have my many fiction books available to anybody who wants to buy it. So I feel accomplished in that way.
Good. Said you go to Central Park to write. Do you
Yeah.
do that every day? Is that your writing schedule?
Every day. I do it every day, and it's so much fun for me. It's exercise for me. And the days I can't make it to Central Park, I do go to the Walk of Fame, right? From Circle to the Plaza Hotel, the Walk of Fame. But I wanted to share something else about Central Park, just how much I love it. And Lynn, have you been there?
I have not. I have never been to New York.
Oh, okay. I'm from LA. You're near LA now, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so I'm from Los Angeles originally. And even though I spent all the time I've been in New York wanting to go back to Los Angeles, Central Park is so important to me. I don't know. It's like the only place in the world where it's almost like you're living in a forest. It really is fabulous that way. But I want to share something about writing a book. I wrote a whole book in one of my walks in Central Park. What I did, I'm writing a book on dictation right now. And this is what I did. I wrote the beats in case you don't know what a beat is. It's just like when you're watching a movie, 2 people are talking, then the action shifts and there's another scene. So beat is that one moment where the 2 people are talking or any scene that changes. Usually it's about 2 minutes in the movie. So I wrote down all my beats, A to Z, all my beats, A to Z. And people can talk much faster than they could type. So I was starting right out of the gate, speaking my beats from the moment I left my apartment. I do this circle around Central Park. It's about 90 minutes. 90 minutes later, I had a book. Now, the thing with books that you dictate is that it looks like book soup or like letter soup, or when you open a can of peas and carrots, you put the can on the counter and everything's all mixed up. So the real work comes when you separate the peas from the carrots and you organize your writing. But you have a book, 90 minutes, I had a book. So that's what my dictation book is about. Have you dictated, Lynn?
I have not. I'm usually in a noisy environment. I have a husband and a parent, and
Parents noisier.
and I actually, when I got what's the big one, the famous dictation machine program.
Not Norton, but it's. I know.
But anyway, I was training it because it wants you to train it, and they try to show you how much faster it is than typing. I type very fast. By the time I dictated and corrected, it was a whole lot slower than I just typed.
Yeah, don't get discouraged. My point about dictation is that it's free. I bought the same program you bought. It is very popular. And the problem is that you're sitting in front of your desk. Like, I don't usually wear formal clothes when I am at my desk. I'm never at my desk anymore because I dictate. But when I did have to dictate, I felt like I was wearing a suit and a tie. And I felt like it was all so formal. I felt like professors were like staring at me, and I was stiff. I was like very stiff when I was using that program. And when I'm in the park, and I'm just talking, and it's so freeing. There's something psychological about being away from your computer that's magical.
I think you are going to love Plot Drive.
Oh yeah,
which is a new program that is a partnership between the Future Fiction Academy and the Realm Shelf people. And it works on mobile devices, and you can dictate.
yeah. I still mention what Lynn is talking about. She'll tell you more, I'm sure, in future episodes she produces. But I saw the demonstration today, and it looked very interesting. I'm glad I had that dictate button because you will not find me in my chair anymore. You will not find me in my chair. I need to entertain the doorman of New York, right?
Of course. But their days would be so boring if it weren't for you going by with your seat.
Thinking about you and your viewers, would I hand them the book? I'm going to say, you see me the last few years walking by you, saying hello. I just like wave hello to them. And now you'll know what I was talking about.
I think that'd be marvelous.
I would just see your reaction.
That's fantastic. What do you enjoy about writing?
I can imagine. That's what it feels like, because last night I finished, not cleaned it up. The cleaning up part is not fun, but the last push, I'll use that word, the last push before you finish the epilogue. And it might need to be cleaned up, but you have every beat, you have every chapter, it's all there. You just need to spend 3 hours cleaning it up, and it's done. And that's what it feels like. You're delivering a project, a baby, a large accomplishment. That sense of relief is off your shoulders. It's out of your mind, and it's going to be into people's hands shortly. That is what I enjoy the most. And of course, Lynn and other authors who are listening, you can remember, I'm presuming that you have the same sensations, but that worry, like, this is off the mark, it's not hitting the beats. Are the genre readers going to understand this? So there's all the uncertainty when you're writing, and maybe I could be a pastry chef. Maybe I should not do this. And then you deliver it. You deliver that baby. That baby grows up to be a better pastry chef than you could have been, and it's the best feeling I could imagine.
Oh, wonderful. That said, what is it you like least about writing?
The thing I like least about writing is the cleanup, because that's so dread. I have to tell you, I have an editor, and it's God's gift to writers. I'm sure there's some writers out there who can edit their own things, and that's great. But the editors are almost giving you a different set of eyes, and they're you. There's somebody outside of you, and there's somebody who represents the reader. And it's not just a matter of putting an apostrophe there or correcting a spelling. I guess there are 5 different kinds of editing, but I'm sure that's one type. But the others are just bringing it together, making it make sense. And I have 2 editors, and I think they're both great. But I did edit one of the books myself, and I think it reads great, but it took me, I could have paid for it too, but I was on a deadline. And sometimes editors need 2 or 3 months or more. I have one that's a year away. So anyway, that's the least editing.
Definitely. I find it's hard for people to edit themselves. You have to edit a book before you turn it over to an editor. But you can't really edit yourself.
Yeah, but I'll give your readers a tip. I'm sure many of them who are writers know it, and I'm sure you know it. But the best thing for me, and I can tell you how much time it takes. My chapters were in 1,000 words, and I listened to my chapters, listen to it, and I had the program open so I could read it while I listen. You wouldn't believe the mistakes you could catch. It's amazing. Not editorial, not mistakes like you have to insert a whole new scene, nothing like that. At that point, this is the final edit, but just not even misspelled words, but a dog, not just the word dog, or like articles before verbs, things like that. And I can tell you, Lynn, it takes me almost an hour to do just 1,000 words, almost an hour. By the time you turn on the program, you listen to it, then you turn it off to make the correction, then you turn it back on again. And then after 2 hours of sitting there, it's, I want to be that pastry chef.
Been there, done that. What are you going to publish next? Didn't you say you had one almost ready?
Thank you for asking. I just published the Billionaires Romantic Christmas Surprise. It is priced for a novella, $2.99, and of course in KU. But I'm going back to my regular full-length book after this, and it's going to be a Valentine's Day book. So the Billionaires Valentine's Day Surprise.
That sounds interesting. I can't wait to read it.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, do you have any advice for our listeners that might want to try their hand at writing?
Yeah, the first thing is that I'm working on my dictation book, and my name is Sass Green, as you see in the corner there. And if you want to sign up for it, it's Sass Green/dictation. I used a small d for the word dictation, just my website, sassgreen.com/dictation. And that book will tell you everything you need to know about writing with dictation, and I highly recommend it. I'll just give you a tip now. This is my iPhone, and this is my Google phone. And oh, I'm red. I'm just red all over. I dictate only my Google phone because it produces clean copy like you wouldn't believe. In the old days when I dictated on my iPhone, I had to add say apostrophe. See, the doorbell don't like it. They don't like me talking about a sex scene and saying apostrophe capital R. They don't like that. They want me just to say he kissed her like that. They don't want all the pronunciation things. So the doorman support the Google phone. I just say the words, no punctuation necessary. I would advise you with the Google phone, and you try it out. I think you just buy it and return it if it's not for you. I will include instructions for iPhone people, of course. There's many programs that you could use, but none as efficient as a Google phone. And the other thing about writing is, where's my little notebook? Here it is. I recommend that you carry a notebook with you everywhere. Even if you just say, I'm going to be like Sass, I'm going to only dictate. You might get an inspiration and you might have your cords, or you might forget your battery, whatever. I go into that in the book too. But the notebook will remind you, because if you think you can remember, you can't. You can't. It's impossible. You have a brilliant idea. It could make $100 million and then you forget it.
Yeah, lies we tell ourselves. That's such a brilliant idea. I could never forget that.
Yeah, it's good on your finger. I never really came to that, but I always carry a pencil. I know.
I can see the new commercial now for Google. Google phone endorsed by doormen.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And that could be a new social media campaign.
We'll have to send this video to Google and say, hey.
Yeah, I have the Pixel 6. I think they're up to 9. I think they're up to 9 now. I'm not a maniac about buying the latest Pixel phone. They're also brilliant. They're the smartest phone in the world for me. And I'm not a techie. I just think they are. But yeah, I can get started that way. And anyway, I think Lynn has tips for her show is so great. And I watched all of her instructions. We're part of this one group, and she gives a lot of instructions and publicity tips. And Lynn has a wild imagination. She gave a review of some of the tools that are out there. You could have your character. Did you ever want to have a character on the top of a novel speak to you? Not just say buy me, but like why you should buy him. I'm so cool, or something like that. She'll show you how to do that.
Those are so fun to do. Thank you. And we'll certainly look for your books there on Amazon. They're in KU. I really appreciate you being here today. This has been so much fun.
Thank you so much, Lynn. I really enjoyed being here.
Everybody should go out and grab those books because they are marvelous. I promise you. Okay. And I will see you later on.